I hope that's acceptable by you. Now let's just check this as well. And one more thing, the lighting. Have a bit of light so you can see me. Here we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Very good afternoon to you on this Wednesday, the 3rd of April. This is the YouTube channel belonging to Silvana Pavlovska, an independent journalist. And we are going to continue today with our series of dedicated to the Macedonian question. And in particular, we are going to continue with the scholarly publication by Professor Dr. Igor Janev, which came out in 2023. And something else to mention is that this title of this scholarly publication is the PRESPA Agreement as a cultural genocide, he says, of the Macedonian national identity. And he goes on to say that towards the termination of an illegal treaty. It is a AGM Knjiga publication, and Professor Igor Janev has written many books. His specialization is international law, and hence the topic of that we are covering. So we have done quite a few broadcasts on this issue, and we are going to continue with chapter 4, which is quite extensive because it gives a lot of detail as to the reasons why Professor Igor Janev thinks the way he thinks, and he justifies his opinions based on research, his and others, and the knowledge of the United Nations Constitution and many other documents that relate to human rights issues, that relate to the status of states or countries that are members of the United Nations, and much more. So it is a very detailed chapter. We are still on chapter 4, and I'm going to now continue with the paragraph which starts off with, bear with me, I forgot to mention, we are broadcasting from Melbourne, Australia. So good day to everybody, not just in Australia, but around the world, and especially to Macedonian people who are living in Macedonia itself. After the complete fiasco with the referendum, this is the referendum that Macedonian government held in 2018. So after the complete fiasco with referendum 2018, in order to minimize his defeat and continue with the PRESPA project, the already illegal process by definition, Zaev, that is the former prime minister of the Republic of Macedonia, Zaev started claiming that, or claiming, it should read that the referendum was only an optional one, not an obligatory one, and that since it was undecided one, and undecided one is in quotation, the executive branch will now go to the parliament to bring it to the vote. At that moment, he demonstrated either complete absence of any legal education or and knowledge, or extreme arrogance, or perhaps both, with propensity to criminal behavior. According to the PRESPA agreement, Macedonia optionally may not organize a referendum, and in that case, the treaty is subject only to the prescribed parliamentarian or parliament procedures. But if the government chooses to go with the question on referendum, then the outcome, including the so-called undecided one, is obligatory, and the government may not go further to the parliament. In conclusion, says Professor Dr. Igor Janev, in conclusion, the decision to continue with the PRESPA agreement in the parliament was an illegal one and legally constitute a criminal behavior and the coup, C-O-U-P, exclamation mark. Clearly, any decision regarding the PRESPA agreement in the parliament after the failed referendum can only be interpreted as illegal, in brackets, or a null and void, close of brackets. At the moment when the PRESPA Act with the 4 constitutional amendments came to the Macedonian parliament, the majority of votes were in the possession of the opposition party, that is VMRO DPMNE. For the required constitutional changes, according to the procedural rules, Zaev needed at least 80 votes, or 2/3 majority of a total of 120 members of the parliament. That is, his Social Democrats party needed 8 members from the opposition to pass the amendments. In order to solve the problem, the Social Democrats, that is the ruling party, people succeeded to corrupt 7 MPs. So Professor Igor Janev is saying that the ruling party, the Social Democrats, succeeded in corrupting 7 MPs from the opposition party, VMRO DPMNE, and the last one, the 80th member of the parliament, was imprisoned. MP Krsto Mukoski brought from the prison as convicted criminal for terrorism only to cast his vote and thus secure the missing vote necessary for obtaining qualified majority for passing the constitutional amendments. This operation planned and executed by the Zaev's administration was illegal and constitutes again the coup d'etat, since prisoners stripped from their immunities and accordingly all privileges cannot vote as MPs in the parliament. So as anyone may conclude, adoption of the new constitutional amendments became a comic charade. This kind of fulfillment of tasks or obligations stemming from the PRESPA agreement regarding the constitutional amendments was certainly known to all observers, including the Greek administration. Minister of the Interior, M. Chavkov, challenged the amnesty provided for MP Krsto Mukoski and 2 other convicted terrorists that cast vote in the amending procedure. One is Luben Arnaudov and the other Sashov Vasilevsky before the Constitutional Court, and stated, quotation, the amnesty was mainly given to get Mukoski, Arnaudov and Vasilevsky to join the Social Democrats ruling party and vote in favor of renaming Macedonia. The 3 members of parliament were detained and released as the negotiations with them progressed and were finally let go just as the name change was being put to vote. This left an impression of complete violation of the rule of law in the public, a sense that only got worse with the growing judicial scandals that followed. Basically, Minister Chavkov revealed that not only one terrorist, Mukoski, former member of VMRO DPMNE, was released from the jail in order to vote for renaming the state, but 2 others, former members of the same party, VMRO DPMNE, were released from prison only to ensure successful vote in favor of the renaming of the country by constitutional amendments. 3 out of those 8 VMRO DPMNE members who voted for renaming the nation, that is Krsto Mukoski, Luben Arnaudov and Sasha Vasilevsky, were convicted for storming the Macedonian Assembly in 2017 and were released from custody prison right after Zaev's speech on reconciliation and forgiveness just before voting on renaming took place. MP Mukoski, after the operation was completed, even gave a statement for the media that he now deserves the amnesty. After the voting took place and the state was renamed, he was not only released from detention and prison, but was actually awarded, according to the MP, a Miloshevsky with €4 million. €4 million. namely after the providing the provision needed victory to Zaev by helping an illegal operation of and changing of the constitution. He was a free person and got an award. Incredible. And to be accurate, Mukoski received for his efforts more financial awards, and he was politically reinstated and got a chance for political or diplomatic advancement. All in all, Zaev's administration, headed by the DSM, even did not try to hide the operation that was supposed to be a secret one. In conclusion, says Professor Igor Janev, it was apparent to any independent media and observer that such form of police government was in fact tyranny rather than democracy. Essentially, Zaev's government smuggled constitutional changes through the Macedonian parliament, and that alone qualified the PRESPA agreement as an illegal act that illegally imposed unwanted national identity revision in the legal and constitutional system. Therefore, the Republic of North Macedonia should be qualified as an imposed illegal state name, both from the international legal aspects, that is the violation of jus cogens, and the violations of domestic constitutional law and procedures. I think we should end it there. We're trying to keep the segments short to enable you to be able to follow what we are talking about, because this is such significant information and facts and truth. So we will continue chapter 4 from where we've just finished. Very shortly, you've been listening to Silvana Pavlovska and In Focus, broadcasting on YouTube under the same name, Silvana Pavlovska. From Melbourne, Australia, I thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to seeing you shortly.